everybody, today we're going to be talking about the flute. So the flute is part of the woodwind family, and you might be thinking, Miss, how can it be part of the woodwind family if it's all made of metal? Well, back, a couple hundred years ago when this thing was invented, it was originally made out of wood. And not only that, but the sound is not produced by buzzing into a mouthpiece like all the other brass instruments. So this instrument, the flute, is indeed a part of the woodwind family. So let's talk about some of the physical characteristics of it. It's about 2 feet long from the end cap here to the foot joint, but most of your notes, all your notes, are right here within this little 1 foot area. And you might be thinking, Miss, how am I going to put that in my backpack? Wouldn't it be sticking out? Well, the beauty of this instrument is that it does break down into 3 parts, and it fits into a case about like that. So most of my students just put this beautiful case right here inside their backpack. Even if you have like 3 textbooks, it'll just fit right on the side. So super, super small, and you can carry that around, and it doesn't weigh a whole bunch. So what it sounds like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I teach the flute. I think I do a pretty good job of teaching it, but I don't play it well. True story. I was working on some flexibility exercises with my students. Oh, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I can't remember. But anyways, one of the cutest things they ever did was I was struggling with the flexibility exercise, and my flute students were just rocking it. They were totally doing really good on it. And one of my students looked me right in the eye and said, "It's okay, Miss Tao, we'll wait for you." And I just thought it was the cutest thing. But I don't play it that well, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut very quickly to another video of a wonderful person who's going to show you kind of like how the flute sounds.
Hi, my name is Miss Billetary. This is one of the lowest sounds that can be made on the flute. And here's one of the highest sounds. The flute can play very high. Here is scales moving from the lowest to the highest notes of the flute. And a lot of times you'll hear the flute playing melodies in band music. You get to play the part that you might sing in a song. And a lot of times composers love to write bird sounds on the flute. The bird can be portrayed very well on a flute.
I hope that gave you a really good idea of what the flute's going to sound like when you start playing it. It's a beautiful sounding instrument. It's very serene sounding. Almost dreamlike, and where it fits in music, most flute parts, like in a band setting, will be playing the melody. The melody is what the lead singer would be singing, and so since it is a higher pitched instrument and it's easier to hear, a lot of composers will write the flute part to be the actual melody. Okay, so let's go on to some things that some good things and some things to consider. So one of the big, like, holy cow, that's awesome things about the flute is that it is only 3 pieces. So my flute class is usually one of the very first classes to actually fully assemble their instrument and play, because it only takes me maybe a day, maybe 15 minutes to teach everybody how to put this thing together. And then I'm not having to like align things and make sure things didn't get twisted and stuff. It's 3 pieces. We put them on after we've been working on the head joint, and we're ready to go. Whereas like my clarinet and my double reeds, those take at least 1 day to teach and then 2 or 3 days to review because there's so many pieces. So that's definitely a plus there that, if you do choose flute, you'll probably be one of the very first woodwinds to actually play the entire instrument together. One of the other things to think about is actually the fact that the fingering pattern is very similar to the recorder. So on the recorder, whereas you had your 3 holes in the top hand and your 3 holes on the bottom hand, same thing here. You've got your 3 holes up here and your 3 holes down in the bottom. You even have a hole here in the back as well. The difference is that it's now sideways as opposed to straight up and down. The other huge plus about it, which actually leads me into the first thing to consider, bad thing to consider, or I don't want to call it a bad thing, but something to think about, is the fact that the notes, whether you're playing a low sound or a high sound, for example, like an octave. So like if you played a C on a piano low, and then a C high on the piano, 2 notes, right? They're called octaves. And for a lot of the fingerings on the flute, the octaves, the low octave and the high octave, are fingered exactly the same. The only difference being a manipulation of the size of the hole here that you make here at the lips. So let me give you an example of that. This is a low F, and this is a high F. If you notice, my fingers did not change at all. All I did was I made the hole up here a little bit smaller, and that allowed that sound to go up higher. That is probably one of the trickiest things about flute, is the fact that whereas all the other woodwind instruments have a little button or a mechanism that you press to make the notes go higher, the flute, to get to that higher note, it's done all here. So this becomes like an imaginary fifth button that you have to press. Well, not press, but you have to manipulate to get it to go up to that sound that you need it to. And we have a lot of flexibility exercises that we do with it to make it really easy for everybody to accomplish. So that's the only like kind of slight drawback to it. Another plus, I'm going back to good things here, is that it's one of the it's a low cost, low maintenance instrument. There's not reeds that you have to buy. There's not, materials that have to be replaced on it. It's pretty much what you see is all you need. One other thing I wanted to mention is that the flute is actually an instrument that we do have instruments that have been donated throughout the years. So that means that if your family is going through a financial situation where they can afford one for you, we do have them here for you to use. They are not pretty and they're not shiny, but they do the job of teaching you how to play the flute until your family can actually afford to get you your own. I think that's all as far as the skinny on flutes. Just let me know if you have any questions, any concerns. I'll be glad to answer them for you. Feel free to YouTube the flute and see other people play it. They definitely play it better than I do. But there's even, I know that this video is a little old, but there's a guy who's beatboxing while he plays the flute. It's super cool, and he's doing it to the Super Mario theme. So I don't know, feel free to, if your parents allow you to go to YouTube, research and all that great stuff. But that's it for now. Bye.